Cam Tolley to the table. Fresh after putting Phil Harrison through the ringer in that interview. Only thing that will change for Phil is he has to get the bus. Lovely break from Cam, gets his partnership off to the best possible start with a very, very good break here. They really got the tournament going in week one, these two, with a very, very impressive performance. It feels like a very long time ago, and, well, in some ways, it was. But, yeah, easy to forget how well they played and how assured they looked. They were one of the performances of the entire first round for me.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was fresh on the back of Phil beating Tom in the Players' Championship as well. A great weekend for him. Obviously, since then, he's gone on and won the whole event. But, yeah, brilliant performance from them. And not the best of starts here, though.
Yeah, great break, but not the best shot that followed it.
Couldn't do too.
Go ahead, sorry.
Couldn't do too much with that one. They'd like to have got a little bit further up the table, but just had to accept what they've got. And it's now this next shot that's key for them. They're on the yellow, but it's awkward. I mean, you can't do anything with this, and if you drop it in, not going to be on a ball. I mean, and it's tough to drop in. They might just be able to get it a turn to the right of the yellow as it is now, so maybe they'll have a shot on the one in the triangle area to bottom right or bottom left.
Stretchy, stretchy.
No, in the end, they didn't take it on. That wasn't an attempt to pot it. That was just, can't do anything from here. Let's turn it back over and make it as awkward as possible. What do they do with the two reds in the top half of the table? I think maybe they were thinking loss of turn. If they got across the yellows a little bit more, and then they play the loss on turn on one and use the other to be a blocker. But there's not much margin of error on that shot. But from where they are now, they can't quite do it. I think Phil's going full-blooded here. This is the double.
Oh, double in some fashion.
Well, yeah.
Oh, how's that not gone in?
It was just the way the mannerism there was that he was gearing up for a big shot, but he was just trying to get the cue ball to come twice across the table and use the same red as a blocker.
Well, it's a very good safety either way. Great cue ball. Achieved the yellow going in. Not a foul if you're new around here in international rules. You can pot your opponent's ball as long as you play a legal shot in doing so, i.e. hit your colour first. Just simply hands the table over. That is a mere containing shot from Mark Fleming.
And it's not going to contain much, though.
Yeah, there's not much you could really do from there.
Yeah, that should be the frame. It should be enough for Cam and Phil to run these through. Taking this one on because it's essentially it will feel like frame ball. Obviously, it was the trickier pot. The one over top left was by far the easier pot, but they would have had to get back down onto that one and then back down onto that one with an angle to get back up, whereas you take that shot on. Anyway, if he makes it centre pocket, then he's probably straight in on the one left centre. He's come up a little bit higher than he wanted because he missed it, or he nearly missed it on the thin side.
Yeah, puff of the cheeks there from Cam Tolley. Who knows how close he was to not making that. Phil Harrison makes both there, which isn't the end of the world, but it does put a little bit of pressure on this shot.
It's not what they wanted. They wanted to leave the red in the top half. Was probably going to be their last ball onto the 8 ball. But as you say, it's not the end of the world. They just have to get nicely on the one into left centre or pull back for it into bottom left corner.
Yeah, it's far from an atrocious shot, although that's not the best from Cam Tolley.
A couple of edgy shots on the trot from Cam. Well, in fact, 3. The first pot he took to the top corner was slightly edgy, then that one was, and the one before which just snuck in. Phil's also missed a pot in the, so not the best of starts for Phil and Cam.
Yeah, a few jitters early on. We've seen it from pretty much every pairing, and that's a jarring miss from Ryan Fleming.
Yeah, I think this is such a sign that everybody in the group, these two pairs in particular, know exactly how big tonight is in terms of it's a major final if they can get through, and the first match being a draw probably even makes them feel more, on edge, because the winner of this match takes a little bit more control in the group.
Well, what a let-off for Cam Tolley and Phil Harrison.
Right.
1-0. The old guards standing over us. Harrison and Tolley, 2 super players. Cam, an Ultimate Pool Challenger Series champion. Last season, this is his first year on the pros. Former England international. He actually came back in 2018 after 25 years away from the game, which is a long old time. But was a super player back then, and is approaching something like his old self, and been great to have him on the pros this year. He's gone well. Phil's record speaks for itself. There's so many accolades that Phil could have on there.
Keep an eye on this break. It's very unique, but incredibly powerful.
Yeah, that's pretty special, isn't it? That 8 ball was tracking as well. I don't know how it's dry.
The amazing thing about this break from Ryan is how repeatable it is and how controllable it is for him. He's really found something. When you stand up on the break like that, it's so hard to control the cue ball the way he does. And we'll see Phil stand up from time to time, but when he does, he loses the control of the cue ball completely, whereas Ryan's really found something with that break. I know it's dry on this occasion, but you can't hit him that good on repeat and not have success with it over a period of time.
Lovely shot from Phil to kick things off with a little plant. Holds the cue ball as well. Mentioned it earlier on, it's not just the accolades or not just a very nice persona, because Phil's an absolute joy to be around when he's off the table, but there's a reason why he's so respected in the game, and so many players will say, yeah, Phil Harrison was he's the one I looked up to when I came through, and all the rest of it. We hear it so many times from our current Ultimate Pool Pro Series players. Why is that?
I just think that the majority, there's a lot of players that have seen him over the last, 5-10 years, certainly prior to the sort of enforced break we had a couple of years ago, where he was just turning up and dominating week in, week out. Some of the big names that we've seen in terms of, the all-time greats that are now on with Ultimate Pool, in terms of your Mick Hill, Gareth Potts, Chris Mann, weren't really playing that much back then. And Phil was sort of dominating for a period of time, and he was doing it through just picking frames apart, great patterns, good cue ball control to go with it. And it just felt every single time he had a chance at the table, he was mopping up and making it look easy in doing so.
Yeah, his cue ball control is second to none. He's a real purist in that sense. And no one is a bigger critic of Phil Harrison than Phil himself. So much so it's become almost a cliche. If he's even a millimetre out of position to where he thinks he should be, you'll see the head start to shake. It's like the It's like the Churchill dog's been put on a 90-degree angle.
Yeah, none more so than when he won the Players' Championship. The final positional shot onto his last ball, his penultimate colour, or his penultimate shot, I should say. He was full on distraught that he hadn't got position. Walked around the table, casually knocked in, and the 8-ball followed. it was absolutely the full Phil Harrison experience.
Well, he's been pretty perfect all the way through this visit. And the lead opens up for Harrison and Tolley, 2 frames to 0. And first frame went against Ryan and Mark. They couldn't do anything about that one. It's a good break from Ryan Fleming. Didn't make a ball. Phil Harrison comes to the table and does what Phil Harrison does. Mopped up.
Yeah, it was never really felt in doubt. We've got so used to seeing Phil do that over the years where, you know, there was one ball that needed a little bump out and had the perfect ball to do it, and he was just in great position the whole way through.
They came through a very good group earlier on in the year. Cam and Phil. All the way back at the start of the competition, middle of June. Came through a group that contained Jamie Burnett and Scott Gillespie, Matt Cook and Scott Yardley and Matt Brazier and Harriet Haynes. Very, very decent group. They dropped 2 frames. That was it on their way through to qualifying. It's about as comfortable as anybody has been in qualifying through.
And this is a chance for Cam to make this match probably more comfortable than it felt halfway and towards the end of the first frame. Although he's not thrilled with his first positional shot.
Well, the family's in for Cameron Tolley. Wife Sue on the left. Daughter Tina's in the house as well as Cam's granddaughter Paige. And special day in the Tolley family as well, as watching on from home is Cam's grandson, also called Cam, turned 11 today. Happy birthday, young man. And they can be pretty pleased with what they're watching at the moment. Cam picking apart this finish well. This feels like frame ball. Get this right,
does.
and you're pretty much home and hosed. Pretty clean pot. How's the cue ball? Tap of the knee from Phil Harrison.
It's not ideal. It's gone that half a turn too far. He wanted to finish just short of the straight. Straight would have been okay. Now the problem is, if he tops it through, he's going into the red. Can he just pinch the pocket, maybe flick off the red? Oh, yes.
It's a really good shot, that.
A lot better than it looks. And it's compromised the position he'll get on the 8-ball, but just needs to have sight of this 8-ball.
Yeah, it doesn't need much either because it's a very thin cut. Well, that was missable, playing it at that sort of pace.
It sort of comes back to the first shot he played in the whole visit, though, and he was recovering well, but he tried to land on the ball to bottom right on his first positional shot to then play that shot there second, and couldn't quite get to it, and it was never going to be a good last ball. Mark would like to have had more angle on this red at the top of the table so he could then deal with the 2 at the top get on the one left centre, or the one on the left near the left centre pocket, drop it in whilst it's got cover, and you've got a natural position. And not straight enough, I don't think, on this red to left centre to be able to play that. Might be worth him playing this long. Might get him where he wants to go. No, he's still taking it to the centre, which means he can't get on the ball he wants to get on. Oh, no. Oh, he's very fortunate.
Oh, isn't he just? Phil's out there feeling absolutely everything.
I think he was trying to track through and leave an angle to bump out that red, but for me, with the red and yellow being the way they are here, it was always, if he could have got on that one on the left-hand side, it would be a free shot because he wouldn't be leaving the yellow on if he missed. So I'm surprised at the decision of the shot he was playing there, because if he pulled, as long as you leave that one by the yellow, he could have pulled back for the other one in the middle of the table, then get position on the left-hand side, and the one at the bottom becomes a good last ball.
Mm. That's not the worst result for Cam Tolley. Just asks a pretty big question. One that I think Mark will be pretty happy to try and answer. Bit of a free go.
Needed to make that, really. Keep an eye on the match clock as well.
Cam lining up for us. Similar shot to the last.
I feel like he's got to take ball by the horns here, unless he feels he can play safe off the one on the left-hand side. Take this one up the table, and you got the other one top left, and then the one down the cushion is going to be a big last ball if he can get that.
Just going to flick the near jaw. Thin cut this. Was always going to look towards that 8 ball, and I think it's come out okay. I don't know if it's a big pocket up to the top.
Does squeeze in.
Is he cutting it? He is. That was missable. And this night has gone all sorts of ways. At the minute, 2 minutes left, and we could have back-to-back 2-2s here.
One thing's for sure, Mark and Ryan will be thrilled with that if you're off them right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cued that one nicely. Had to dig it just to make sure he didn't get the bump on the middle pocket.
And it goes. So 90 seconds left, 2-1. And it's all to play for.
Yeah,
it
and
really is.
And the good news for the Fleming brothers is it's their break, and I fully expect Ryan to take the break.
Here they are, the Dundee Delights. Mark and Ryan. Both got stellar CVs. Didn't make it out of the Pairs Cup group stage last year. Certainly did this year. Did so in pretty fine style as well. They took out a group that contains Joe O'Connor, the snooker player. Ben Doyle and Sean Sharkey were well fancied going into that, and Jimmy Carney and Rob Donkin as well. It was a very competitive group, that. And in that group, they did start with a 2-2 draw. What they would give for one of those now.
Well, we talked about his break on the first one. It was massive and dry. Hit it as well as he did previously, but wants the result to change. just, I mean, he's a little bit fortunate with the cue ball, but I just love watching it. The power he generates with that break is amazing.
It's like a rifle, isn't it?
It's amazing to watch. It really is. And it's a brilliant split. It really is.
It's the split you want when you've not got loads of time to go about your work. Everything in the open. There's connections pretty much everywhere you look. They actually, in a strange way, they don't want to rush this. They can actually take their time a little bit. Probably serves them to do so, because Phil and Cam have the next break, and they don't want to leave them too much time.
I think the time should be okay. I mean, as long as they leave sub 30, you know, you're happy, and they're going to do that comfortably. So it's going to be a golden break only, assuming they make this finish. I mean, if they can make the finish and let the cue ball trick down so the clock runs out, then that would be absolutely ideal situation. Well, and they could do that.
They could do that. Don't think they will.
Have they used their extension yet? No. So yeah, pot this, get perfect, call that extension and pot it with 1 second left and the cue ball's still moving. It's brave, but it's what you should do here.
Oh, I don't know if you
Hamper
do that
queuing
now.
now.
You don't do it now, do you? Just make sure of the pot. In it goes. So 2-2 with 4 seconds remaining. It is time for one last break in the match. A golden break wins it for Harrison and Tolley. Golden Duck, meanwhile, would lose it. That's 8 ball and the cue ball going off.
I tell you what,
at the same time.
If they make a golden break here, they'll be kicking themselves. They had their extension. They could have easily, I mean, if it wasn't hampered queuing, they may well have thought about it more. But call your extension and then you just wait an extra couple of seconds on it and play it. Not firm, because you don't want to risk that cue ball going anywhere or missing a pot, but just firm enough to let it roll for a couple of seconds.
We've had a few players sort of attempt it and talk about it and get thinking about it out there.
But fair play to them, because that was an amazing break at the right time and a brilliant break clearance. I mean, we're splitting hairs saying they could have run the clock down to the wire there, but it was, you know, we said about 2.5 minutes ago they'd be thrilled with a draw while they're in that position, and they're highly likely to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil Harrison's break. Cam Tolley wants the break. He's a great cut breaker, but it's not his go. Phil Harrison, though, we just prefer a front ball break. Is moving sideways. Gut break's the way to get the 8 ball moving. Can he get it towards the pocket? It's flying. It's close. It's in. Would you believe it? Phil Harrison and Cameron Tolley win it with a golden break. Absolutely amazing.
Tough, tough, tough one to take for Mark and Ryan. It really is.